Hey guys, welcome back to the Launch Your Real Life podcast, where I try to help young Christians like you make the transition from total dependence on parents and family to complete independence. And we do this not because we glorify independence, right? But so that you can actually be equipped to grow into the person you are made to be, and you can have the impact you were made to have, specifically talking about finances. So, obviously, with a mission like this, we're going to be talking a lot about jobs, careers, getting them, keeping them, advancing up through them, and how to make the most of them. Um, when I originally started trying to get together this episode, I started writing out kind of just like um, a life story worth of my career. And while I found it fascinating, I quickly realized, wow, this sounds so narcissistic, and honestly, it's not that interesting. So what I thought I'd do instead is just take a couple of lessons that I've learned so far in my, decade and a half ish run at working various jobs. And it's been a journey. I've really enjoyed it, and I still have a long way to go. But I can tell you that this first couple of years, if you're a young person and you are uh, in college, or you're about to be out of college, or maybe you skip college altogether, um, these first years of earning are kind of crazy, because especially if you prove yourself to be a valuable asset, you could find your income doubling from the time you start working to like just a few years down the road. So, learning to manage that early is another reason why I think this podcast is something I find so important. But that is a tangent. So, I just wanted to highlight a couple of things, and give a few anecdotes to illustrate them. Um, so lesson number one, people are already going to pick up stones and start trying to throw them at me. But lesson number one is confidence. So easier said than done, but I'm not talking about, excuse me, I'm not talking about bravado or being obnoxious. I'm not saying go into an interview and put your feet up on the desk. Um, but I am talking about developing the belief in yourself, the belief, internal belief, that you are the best candidate for this job, whatever job you're going for, right? Um, and so this is mainly, obviously, I mean, you need confidence throughout your career, but I'm talking specifically when it comes to, that interview process, for instance, making a good first impression. Um, there's something about the way you carry yourself when you actually believe that you are a good fit for the role that you are looking at. And if maybe it's something that you never saw yourself doing or something, but, and I'm not saying lie to yourself, but picture yourself succeeding at what you're doing, right? So, you know, uh, I remember one time I was at a job fair. This was back when my schedule was so crazy between school and administrator I was working at, that I was struggling to find a job. So I was at this job fair, and I walked by this valet company representative. They were there talking to some students, but they were, just there. There was nobody talking to them at the moment. So I went up, kind of walked up and introduced myself. And the first thing they asked was, well, are you able to drive a stick shift? And I said, no, I'm not. And they're like, oh, okay. And I said, okay. And then I walked away, right? Because I couldn't drive stick. And that was, I mean, I'm not advocating that. I'm not saying that I should have lied, but guess what? Just later that year, I went and actually went through the motions of learning how to drive a stick shift well enough that I could park cars. And you know what? It was hardly ever an issue while I was a valet. I was a valet for a couple of years. And so that's an example of not having confidence in the situation. But in a different uh, uh, aspect, right? Um, excuse me. I um, I have a couple of different interview stories, but one in particular was another situation where I didn't have experience in the field, right? So I actually had got my medical coding certification a year previously, and then did I got a different job that didn't wasn't even in that world. And so for a year, I wasn't using that certification. I ended up um, networking with somebody who wanted to give me an opportunity, and when I interviewed with that person, even though I didn't fully know what the job was going to be, right? I was able to communicate that I'm somebody who can learn. Once I'm shown, I can learn what to do and I can do it well. And I had a track record of dependability, right? I knew that I wasn't somebody who called in all the time. I knew I was somebody that came to work with, for the most part, a good attitude and wanted to do my best, right? And so I knew that they were probably interviewing a lot of people who who couldn't say those things, right? And again, man, I'm coming across narcissistic right now. I'm just advocating for a belief in yourself. And you know what? I was hired and I was able to do that job. I was able to do it, I think, to a good degree, and I think I was a good employee while I was there. So, confidence, when I say confidence, I just mean belief in yourself, right? And if you struggle with that, I get it, right? I know some people, you know, but go through the motions, go through the exercises to build that confidence in yourself. Look back at the things you've done, whether it be in high school or in college, the hard things that you've done, that you've come out the other side, and let that bolster your confidence when you're going into these interviews. Okay, so that's lesson number one. It's just being confident, presenting yourself well to the people who are interviewing you. Make them believe what you believe about yourself, that you are the best person for that job. So lesson number two is more about keeping jobs. In just one second while I take a sip of water. Sorry about that. It's about keeping a job as much as getting a job, and that would be just generally having a good work ethic. Um, I recently posted a short little reel on Instagram, kind of about this concept, and I had a person who's actually an employer of a small business comment and say, "Yes, yes, this is true." People um, just don't give their best a lot these days. I That's a huge generalization. Let me walk that back. A lot of people struggle with, especially in the lower tier, quote unquote, jobs. Before you're a big corporate person, um, you know, there's a tendency to kind of feel entitled to that job, right? And to do the bare minimum, right? Just to collect a paycheck. And I'm not an advocate of selling yourself to a corporation, and not taking care of yourself and not having a good work life balance. That is not what I'm saying here, but I am saying you can actually set yourself so far above your peers simply by showing up when you're supposed to show up, on time, ready to work with a good attitude. And I mean, I feel like Chick-fil-A is full of those people, right? But at a lot of work sites, a lot of jobs, if you can do that, you are going to be a unicorn, right? You are going to be the one that they are thinking their lucky star that they have you. Okay? And of course that can turn toxic, but we as Christians especially should be able to work as unto the Lord within reason, doing our best and making ourselves indispensable. And you know what? In my experience, People want to give more responsibility. People want to promote that person, right? And of course, when you get into, that corporate space, you know, I'm not saying that skill isn't important, but I am saying that having good people skills and a good work ethic will actually go a long way, even if you're still working on your skills. I've experienced that myself. But I've been there. I've been in leadership roles where the people under me, they come in, we hire them, and within that 6 months that maybe is their probation period, they're late so much, they call out to the point where they have to be let go, right? Um, and on the other side of that, I've seen people come in and do the job so well that we can't wait to promote them to a leadership role, right? Because they are the person that we want on the site helping others do even better, right? Lifting up the whole spirit of the team. So if you can be somebody who takes the earbud out, who looks customers in the eye and talks and speaks well and has a good attitude, and you show up when you're supposed to show up, man, that is going to take you so far. And it's super important. Again, if that sounds like it's not describing you, maybe you work right now and you feel like you are not that employee. That's something you can work on, right? Because I do believe that it affects your bottom line, your income in the long run. But I also think it's a spiritual thing. We need to work and do our best as unto the Lord, right? And I'm not saying that I don't have those days where I feel like slacking off, but that's why we have to keep working. We have to keep working on it. Excuse me while I have one more sip of water. So thankful I don't cut these and edit them anymore. Um, but I do apologize for you listening and watching. Point 3. This is something that I love, but I know that again people are going to pick up stones and come after me. But point number 3 is networking. And by that, I just mean be memorable and be likable, right? In your jobs, but not just in your jobs, wherever you go. Again, I don't mean this in a narcissistic, like you should just be always looking for what you can get out of relationships with people. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about being somebody who people want to be around, someone who people will think of when they need something, or when they uh, you know need somebody to go to, right? That you would be somebody that they would think of, and people like being around. So this is kind of a combination of confidence and work ethic. Um, when we can kind of put these both together, we people just tend to remember you. And I've had instances where uh, you know the networking has been the difference between me getting a job and not. So, for example, I was with that valet company for a while, which I actually got hired with the help of my roommate who also worked for that company. So, but I worked for that company a couple of years, and after I got married, it was time for me to be to. I left the ministry I was working in that took a lot of my time, so I was looking for something full time. I mean, I was doing that full time, but I was looking for something more stable, the next step, let's say. So I was valeting at a hospital system outside of a big hospital, and as I did my valet thing, I would go in and talk to the guest services people. I would get wheelchairs when they were busy and help the patients in, and I developed a rapport with the people who were at the front desk. They liked me. We knew I started to get to know them, right? I started early in the morning, so the early morning guys, I would actually get to know them and learn about what they did and demonstrate the care and compassion that I could show as well, even in my valet capacity. And um, word got around, and they would let me know once when a job was posted for a position like theirs, and I applied, and then I let them know I applied, and they got the word up to their people. So I got interviewed, and I was able to use the experience that I had created um, with helping patients and plug that into exactly what they did. I got to demonstrate a knowledge of what they did on a day-to-day basis because I was right there next to them observing. And I also was able to ask some of the people who I got to know, "Hey, what are these people like? What should I say? How?" And they were able to give me advice like, "Hey, this person really likes it when candidates ask really good questions," or whatever the case may be. And so I was able to actually incorporate those things when I had my interview, and voila, was hired. And um, later on, when I was leaving that department and going into the medical coding world, I saw a position posted internally, and I actually went through the system, combed through, and looked for um, who was over this position or who I thought would be over this position. And I straight up just emailed them and said, "Hey, I don't really know what the position is. Here's who I am. Here's the certification I just got. Is that relevant to this job that I see that I think you're in charge of?" And they got on the phone with me that day to talk about the job, to talk about what other opportunities were in their department. And she was so nice, so helpful, and I did end up going and working for that department. Um, and so networking is a great way to move up your career, to start at a job. And you know what? People from my old department, I still keep in touch with them. Not because I have this whole like, um, maybe I'll want to go back there, or not for any ulterior motive, but I genuinely like those people that I used to work with, and they genuinely like me. So they let me know when things are happening, and I go and visit them. Not all the time, but I really enjoy the fact that I have a genuine relationship with those people. I know people who I may never work with them or for them, but maybe I can refer somebody else that I know to them, right? All I'm saying is work on these skills, your confidence, your work ethic, and your ability to network. That means being memorable and being likable. And it goes both ways. People will reach out to you as well. Doing these things will set you up as a valuable asset wherever you go to work. And if you have some work you need to do on your skills, it'll give you the room you need to get in there and get your hands dirty and work on those skills. So, the video is getting a little bit long. Take these nuggets, and I hope that they will help you. We'll go in more depth on different aspects of careers and jobs in other episodes, but I wanted to at least give these 3 points. Be confident, have a good work ethic, and network with people you know. So, with that said, I hope you guys have a great week, and we will see you next week. Thanks for listening to the Launch Your Real Life podcast. Please like and share. If you know somebody who's in the job seeking phase, feel free to share this. And if you have questions, reach out to me. Info's in the description below. Thank you guys so much.